What is going on, sports fans? John from Odyssey Sports back at you with another video. And real quick, guys, I just want to give you a quick apology. I wanted to have this video out a lot sooner earlier this week, but unfortunately, I got sick. I was bedridden for a couple of days, but I'm feeling a lot better. But anyways, guys, let's just jump quickly into this video. I want to recap wildcard weekend for you. It was an insane weekend of football. I had a ton of fun watching all these games, and there's some history made this weekend. So let's jump right into it, guys. First, we're going to talk about the Bills Colts game that happened on Saturday. The Bills won 27 to 24. The score, there's only a 3 point margin, but really, I think the Bills had they had the game for the entire time. They had the edge. Um, they controlled the ball throughout the entire game, and the Colts just couldn't really get it done on offense. Right away, guys, I want to jump into Josh Allen. Josh Allen continues to impress me. He's a great quarterback. He's a top three quarterback in the league, right behind Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. Not in that particular order, but Josh Allen, he's in the MVP conversation already in his third year. He's not going to win the MVP. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to win it. He's the favorite, obviously. Um, but in his third year already, Josh Allen coming out of the draft, coming out of Wyoming, people saw him as a project. They knew he was a good quarterback, but they really didn't think he could translate his talent over into the NFL. He's a big arm quarterback. You saw him doing that at Wyoming at a small school, and that's why people had hopes for him, but they didn't really have too high of expectations for him. A lot of people thought he was going to be a bust, and he's proving the doubters wrong. Josh Allen, he's my dark horse MVP candidate for next year. I really do think he's going to win it, or at least he has a really good chance, in my opinion. I love this kid. He's a great quarterback. He's dynamic. He can run the ball. He's got everything you want in a quarterback. He's big. He's athletic. He's an insane talent. And with Stephon Diggs pairing those two, it's just a match made in heaven. Honestly, I think Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen might be the best QB wide receiver duo in the league. Maybe behind Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. But anybody can make a case for Allen and Diggs. That's my opinion. You guys drop a comment down below. Who's the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the league? Let me know. But uh, it, these two guys, they never seem to really miss. They're always connecting. Their chemistry is great. They're fun to watch. They always make big plays, and they always set the edge for the game. These two are two X factors on the Bills that they should not get rid of anytime soon. Another thing, guys, I want to talk about is the Bills defense. I'm still not completely sold on the Bills defense, but they're still a good unit, and they got their job done in this game, and that's all that matters, really. The Colts don't have particularly an impressive offense, but they have a decent offense. Phil Rivers is still productive. He's an old guy. He's on the wrong side of 30. He's in his mid to late 30s, and he's probably going to retire soon. But anyways, Buffalo, they had a good defensive outing. They held them to 2 touchdowns through the air and a touchdown on the ground. Um, and another thing I want to talk about is Buffalo's offense, obviously. They did a lot better than I expected against this stingy Indianapolis defense. I thought this game was going to be a lot I thought it was going to be a low scoring game. That's what I predicted last week with Sam. And I have really high expectations for this offense next year. I think they're going to exceed what they did this year. Stephon Diggs had a breakout year. He's the league leader in receptions and receiving yards. He had an all pro year, in my opinion. He did great. Josh Allen did great. This offense is awesome, and that's why they won this game. Now I want to talk about the Colts a little bit more. Philip Rivers, he had a good game. He had over 300 passing yards and a couple touchdowns. He didn't turn over the ball. He managed the game like he's supposed to. He did his job. But the Colts need to move on from him. I know that Frank Reich and the Colts are bringing him back for another season next year, but he's still Indianapolis' kryptonite. They need a QB. I thought they should go after a QB in the draft, no matter what their draft pick is. They might not get, they're not going to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, obviously. Probably not Zach Wilson either. But you could go after someone like Trey Lance or Mac Jones if he's still available, honestly. But another guy I think the Colts really should move on from is T.Y. Hilton. He had 2 receptions for 32 yards in this game. Nothing really impressive. T.Y. is just not the same playmaker that he used to be a few years ago when the Colts had Andrew Luck. And with or without Luck, he's just not that guy on offense anymore. And they're not going to go after a QB in this year's draft, I don't think. But I think they need to go after a big playmaker, a big wide receiver. Who knows? Maybe Kyle Pitts falls to them, but Indianapolis has a good tight end core with Trey Burton and Mo Alley Cox. I like those two guys, but we'll see what Indianapolis does in the offseason and in the draft. Again, the Bills take this game 27-4. Again, I'm really impressed with Allen and Diggs and this Buffalo offense, and the defense even impressed me, honestly. Great win for the Bills. First one since 1995 in the playoffs, and I'm rooting for the Bills in the playoffs going ahead. So, guys, another game I want to jump into is the Titans and the Ravens. You guys know the story behind this. The Titans and the Ravens are a rivalry in the making. This was an awesome game to watch. I really think that the Ravens had the edge this entire game, just like the Bills against like the Bills did against the Colts. We've seen the drama with these two teams. The Titans dancing on the Ravens logo, and John Harbaugh comes out and starts getting into it with the Titans team. It's just a drama in the making, and it keeps getting juicier. I want to talk about Lamar Jackson first. The narrative of Lamar Jackson in the playoffs need to be put to rest. People were saying he can't win a playoff game, and he proved the doubters wrong. Lamar's clearly not the best quarterback in the league. Last year he was the MVP, obviously, because he's such a dynamic player. But again, Lamar is damn well the most dynamic player in the league. He's one of the better players in the league, in my opinion, still, even if he had a slight drop off this year. Um, and the Ravens rally under his leadership, really. Lamar is a really good leader. He's very confident and he instills that into his teammates. And I just love that out of Lamar. Lamar's one of my favorite players in the league. He's soft spoken, he's quiet, but this kid is awesome. I just love Lamar Jackson. He's just so explosive. He's only 24 years old and he managed to get the Ravens to the playoffs every single year since his rookie year. Lamar sets the edge in Baltimore week in and week out. He builds momentum for the team on the ground game, and he takes defenses by surprise when he makes plays through the air. Don't ever doubt his passing ability because he is still a decent passer. You can still make plays through the air. In the 48-yard touchdown run in the second half, that was really the deciding factor of the game for me. It's almost like they iced the game, even though they tied it up with that touchdown run. But God, Lamar is so impressive. It's like watching poetry in motion when he's on the screen every Sunday. Even though he only passed for 179 yards, he played great. It doesn't matter if he isn't the most impressive arm talent. He's not the most accurate at times, but he makes up for it with his QB play and his explosiveness. He's just so dynamic. He's just so dangerous on the ground, and defenses don't know how to prepare for him. And we heard teams saying, "Oh, we figured out Lamar. We figured out the Ravens defense. They run a high school offense. They run RPO. They run play action. We know what Lamar is going to do." Nobody knows what Lamar is going to do. He's unpredictable. He just gets around defenses like a needle through a haystack. You just can't get that guy to the ground. Another thing I want to talk about is the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense gave me goosebumps in this game against Tennessee on Sunday, guys. They held Derrick Henry to a putrid performance. 18 rushes for 40 yards, dude. What is that? Derrick Henry was blown up at the line of scrimmage. Get this, blown up at the line of scrimmage 11 out of 18 times that he rushed the ball. And 11 out of those 18 times, it resulted in no gain or a loss of yardage. The Ravens front seven is insane. They did an awesome job in this game. They're ready for Derrick Henry every single play. They obviously planned for him after he ran all over them in week 11. In the past two meetings between the Ravens and the Titans, he's combined for over 300 yards. Derrick Henry, he's on another level. He ran for 2,000 yards this season. He's an All-Pro for the first time. Derrick Henry, we haven't seen a season like this in a long time since CK2K, Chris Johnson, when he ran for 2,000 yards back in 2009, I think. But again, two players that I was really impressed with on the Ravens defense, Pernell McPhee and Matthew Judon, those two edge rushers for the Ravens. They collapsed the offensive tackles almost every single play that they ran the ball, and they disrupted the entire offensive line because of it. And they gave Derrick Henry no room to run. They plugged up the holes every single play. They met him at the line of scrimmage, and they punched him in the mouth. Derrick Henry is probably the most punishing player in the league on offense. And they just destroyed that narrative. The Ravens really came to play. They really came to prepare for Derrick Henry John Harbaugh had a great game plan, and the Titans their offense got outplayed by the Ravens defense. Honestly, I thought the Titans were going to come out with this win, especially after they gained momentum early in the game with that huge AJ Brown touchdown reception from Ryan Tannehill. But I want to talk a little bit more about the Titans. Other than that, that was really the only bright spot that I saw throughout this game. Mike Vrabel, a coach that I admire a lot. I really respect him. His mentality, the what he instills in his team, his work ethic. You see him on the field. He's getting physical with his own players, and he really pumps them up. And I love that. But Mike Vrabel screwed up big time in this game. Those two fourth down calls that he made in the game, especially the play call where they punted the ball at the Ravens 40-yard line when they could have just went for it. They could have gotten field goal range, kick for three. It just made no sense. Why would you punt the ball? You gave them you put them back maybe 10, 20 yards at the most. It just didn't make any sense. You could have went for it and it still would have really resulted in the same as a punt. Um, I mean, if you just have went for it, you could have even gotten a touchdown. You could have build off that momentum, on defense, stop Lamar and get another chance at scoring the ball. It just didn't really make any sense to me. And here's a statistic that I got from Pro Football Reference. That was the first time in their database, according to them, going back to 1994, that a team in the playoffs have ever punted on 4th and 2 in a similar field position when trailing by one score. The first time since then. That's stupid. That's the second time ever. What is Mike Vrabel doing? You're not going to win playoff games by making stupid decisions like that. It's just I'm just disappointed. Mike Vrabel, what are you doing, man? Another guy I want to talk about is Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill couldn't do anything. Receivers couldn't get separation, and that's not necessarily his fault. You can't get the passing game going if you're rushing for 51 yards throughout the entire game. Derrick Henry had 40 yards on the ground, and then the Titans' offense toppled another 11 yards on top of that. That's terrible. The offensive play calling was questionable at best throughout this game. Again, the Titans take this game, or the Ravens, excuse me, take this game 20-13. I was disappointed with the Titans. I was disappointed with the play calling, but very impressed with Lamar and the Ravens defense. Now, guys, let's jump into the Rams and Seahawks game. Another very exciting game throughout this week. Seattle, I want to start off with Seattle. First things first, this was hands down the worst performance I've ever seen from Russell Wilson throughout his entire career. Every single game I watch, Russell Wilson, he's improvising, he's scrambling, he's making big plays, he's making clutch plays, and I did not see Russ cooking in this game. He just doesn't look like the same player we saw him in the first half of the season. He looks unsure of himself. He doesn't have the same flair. And that really goes for Seattle's entire offense. Honestly, they just don't look the same. The receivers don't look the same. The running game doesn't look the same. The offensive line looks discombobulated. Everything just looks a wire. Russ obviously did not cook. He lost his zest. He has no seasoning. He doesn't know what he's doing. He lost his flavor. The Rams defense was way too much for Seattle in their offense. Everything from the pass rush to getting to Russ multiple times in the backfield, having stellar coverage in the secondary, shutting down DK, although he had 2 scores for over 90 yards. He was frustrated on the sidelines. Jalen Ramsey was doing a good job locking him up. Seattle's defense is nothing special. They give up 333 yards, excuse me, which isn't necessarily bad. But the Rams had John Wolford, the backup that nobody's ever heard of until the other week. And he left the game with a neck injury. And I want to talk about that play real quick. The play where Jamal, Wolford was sliding down and Jamal hit his shoulder pad or kind of in his neck area with his helmet. That was a penalty. I'm pretty sure they picked up the flag on that play. That made me mad. I respect Jamal Adams as a player, but I just can't respect that. That was a dirty play. And Wolford could have got seriously hurt. He's lucky that he got what he got. It was a neck injury, and it's still not good. But Wolford could have got seriously hurt, and just shame on Jamal Adams for that. I did not respect that at all. And aside from playing with John Wolford for only a quarter of the game. They put in Jared Goff with a broken thumb, and they still showed up big. Jared Goff didn't necessarily have an impressive game, but he managed the game like any quarterback should, and he got them the win, and that's what matters. So I want to talk about Los Angeles's defense a little bit more. The Rams defense did all the talking for them in this game. Darius Williams was a stud. I told you guys that he was a stud. I told Sam last week that he was a stud. Dude's a playmaker. He's highly underrated, and not only is he underrated, this entire Los Angeles secondary is super underrated, and I feel like they don't get talked about enough. Darius Williams had that huge pick six. They just kept Russ guessing all the game. He had to go through all of his progressions, and he just didn't look confident in his receivers. And that's why the Rams pass rush was able to get to him so much, is because Russ couldn't find anybody open, and then vice versa. The Rams pass rush got to him, and Russ couldn't get the ball off. It was just a great play by the Rams defense in this game. I was very impressed. They dominated every facet. Here's another statistic I want to bring up for you guys. They allowed 4.4 yards per pass in this game. To one of the best QBs I've personally ever seen in the past 10 years. That's wow. That's just wow. That's just props to the Rams defense. You got to give them a round of applause for that. Another guy I want to talk about on the Rams defense is Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is good to go against Green Bay in the divisional round this upcoming weekend. I really hope he's okay. I hope that's the truth. I think he had torn rib cartilage or something, and I'm sure that hurts. And he played through that. That's gotta suck. You saw him holding his ribs. He wasn't really. He just didn't look 100%. But I have faith that Aaron Donald will show up to play against Green Bay, and I have faith that he will eat. And even if he doesn't, you have players like Michael Brockers. You have Morgan Fox on the interior D line, Leonard Floyd, the edge rusher, and Sebastian Joseph Day. All guys that can get to the QB. All guys that can get to Aaron Rodgers. Even with David Bakari out with that ACL injury, obviously. And Cooper Kupp, his knee injury scared me, but apparently he's good to go against Green Bay. So we'll see what happens next week when we dive into that later this week in another video. Now, I want to talk about the Browns and Steelers. This was the game I was anticipating, highly this week. Or last week, I should say. I had the Steelers winning, obviously. Nobody thought the Browns were going to win this game. They were struck with like terribly bad luck. Their facility was closed. Their facility didn't open until the day before the game on Saturday, I think, or something like that. You had Joe Batonio out, you had Denzel Ward out, Kevin Stefanski was not play calling. He was out. He had to watch the game from home. But the Browns came up ready to play. The Browns obviously prepared for this game. They're game prepping all week, going through Zoom sessions, going through the offensive play call and the defensive strategy to get ready for Big Ben and the Steelers, and they succeeded, guys. The Browns got their first playoff win since 2002. Just like the Bills, they got their first win in the playoffs in what seems for like forever, really. The Cleveland, they made it to the playoffs for the first time in a long time, and really Cleveland has to they've made themselves my second favorite team in the league behind the Giants. I just really like Cleveland and what they're building there. John Dorsey is a great GM. I really like what he's built there. They have a dynamic offense, and their defense is good in its own right. They did against the 11-0 Steelers. The Steelers so great during the regular season, and everyone said that the Steelers were going to be good through the playoffs, or at least Steelers fans said that. I never thought that was the narrative. I never thought that was the truth, and I was right. The Browns finally got theirs, and oh boy, did it feel good! And it felt good for me, and I can't even imagine what it felt for them. Every NFL fan watching that hates the Steelers, they were just so happy this past weekend. Juju, another guy I want to talk about. Juju needs to keep his mouth shut. I mean, honestly, just let your play do the talking. He keeps jinxing the games for the Steelers. You saw what he did in Buffalo, dancing on the logo. You saw what he did in Cincinnati, dancing on the logo, and then Von Bell gave him his. And what really bothers me is Juju is rubbing off his antics and his personality on Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool is a stud rookie. I love his play and I respect his play. And don't get me wrong, I like Juju. Juju is a great player. He's a good receiver. He's still very young and he has a lot of potential. But I can't respect what he does off the field. His off-field antics are just so annoying. His rhetoric is very annoying. You saw what he said. Browns is Browns, nameless gray faces over there in Cleveland. What, Juju, what are you talking about? You got beat by 11. You were down 28 points in the first quarter. Both guys, both Chase Claypool and Juju are tremendous talents, like I said, and I respect their game a lot, but I just can't respect them as people. I can't respect what they do off the field. And if I was a Steelers fan, I'd be livid. It only hurts the team. What are you doing, guys? Pittsburgh always has something go awry, whether it's in the locker room or if it's all over social media. You saw what Big Ben did a couple years ago, throwing his teammates under the bus, and ultimately that's what led to AB's departure. That locker room was cancerous, and it just seems like that's kind of repeating itself here in Pittsburgh. And Ben needs to retire, guys. He threw four interceptions in this game. He threw an interception to a goddamn lineman for Pete's sake. Um, and I know he wants to stay in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh probably will bring him back for another year. They're gonna try to fulfill those championship aspirations that they had this year after going 11-0 throughout the regular season. But just like Philip Rivers, he's a liability on offense. He's too old. He's on the wrong side of 30, and the Steelers need to think of the future and they need to look ahead. They need to keep this good core group of players, especially on defense. They need to build for the future, in my opinion. Um, and although that turnover on the very first play of the game wasn't Ben's fault, um, it's just that I just don't know what to say. That was just terrible football, dude. That reminded me of Super Bowl 48 when the center snapped the ball over Peyton Manning's head and it went into the end zone for a safety. Uh, I just was so happy watching this game. I just don't like the Steelers. I'll be honest with you guys. Um, Now, the Steelers wideouts in this game, I was actually impressed with. They got good separation to start. Um, three guys had a big game, in my opinion. Juju had a big game. Deontay Johnson had a big game. Um, Chase Claypool didn't do bad. He did good in his own right. Eric Ebron and Big Ben could not connect on offense. Uh, Eric Ebron dropped several balls. Big Ben was overthrowing him a couple times, and that really cost Pittsburgh the game big, in my opinion. You always need to connect with your tight end because he's kind of like your safety outlet besides your running back. Tight ends are big playmakers, no matter what people say about them. You got to get it going there, Ben, with Eric Ebron. And I don't know if it's the chemistry or what, or if there was the play calling, or if there's some confusion, but it just wasn't working out. The Steelers also couldn't get it going on the ground because they are not a run first team. They have a offensive line that's focused on protecting Ben and really helping him excel in the pass game. They're not a good run blocking offensive line. James Conner looked helpless in the backfield. He couldn't get it going on the ground like usual. And the Steelers did not look ready on defense. They were outplayed and they were outcoached by substitute head coach Mike, I think Prefier or something, how you pronounce his name, I'm not sure. He's the special teams coordinator and he was filling in for Kevin Stefanski, obviously, as an acting head coach. Another thing I want to mention about the Steelers defense, I didn't hear TJ Watt's name all game. I didn't hear Stephon Tuitt's name all game, and I didn't hear Cameron Hayward's name all game. Those guys got shut down on defense. They couldn't get any pressure. They couldn't get to Baker, and that's because Cleveland's offensive line is elite. It's probably the best in the league. Yeah, Pro Football Focus said they're the best in the league, and I agree with them. You had Joe Batonio out with COVID. He's an all-pro guard. He's such an essential piece to this offense. And you had Michael Dunn sub in for him. Michael Dunn was awesome. He wasn't really familiar with the game plan or the strategy that much. Didn't really know these guys all too well. He just recently came in and he was brilliant. He only gave up one hurry all game to the Steelers defense. He held his own. He protected Baker. And you got to love that when you have depth at offensive line where the Hogs can really play and get together and protect the quarterback and let the offense play, let the offense do what they do, let the wide receivers make plays. That's awesome. And Jack Conklin, not to mention Jack Conklin, he left the game in the second quarter. I can't remember what happened with him. I think it looked like a leg injury or something like that. But Jack Conklin, he left the game and it didn't even hurt Cleveland. Their offensive line was still as dominant. Baker Mayfield, guys. Another round of applause for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield did awesome this game. Just like Josh Allen, he's made huge progression. He's made a huge leap forward in year three. People were really unsure of Baker. They saw what he did. They saw his behavior off the field. weren't too sure in his abilities. They thought he was an overhyped quarterback. People didn't really like Cleveland taking him at number one, but he's proving the doubters wrong, just like Josh Allen is. His decision making, his improvisation, his accuracy, everything you need in a star-studded quarterback. He's just putting it all out there. He's proving that he's one of the better QBs in the league. And in my opinion, I think within the next couple of years, maybe even next year, Baker will be a top tier QB. He'll be an elite QB. He'll be in that elite five conversation. Players like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson, even. Um, Baker's just incredible. He had a great game Sunday, and he's one of the main reasons why Cleveland made a playoff push this year. Props to Baker and the Cleveland Browns. Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt were also huge factors during this game. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns. Nick Chubb had a touchdown. Jarvis Landry had a touchdown. They were all really dynamic on offense, explosive, and they got in the end zone, and that's what matters. And on defense, lastly, I want to talk about MJ Stewart, the defensive back that I've never even heard of. He had a great game. He had an interception. He had great coverage throughout the game. I'm not sure if he was on Juju the entire game because Juju did have a good game, but the Steelers were on offense a lot. They couldn't get off the field on defense, and they were on offense. Big Ben had 500 passing yards because Cleveland was up 28-0, and they could kind of relax a little bit. You know what I mean? But really, that's the Cleveland game. Cleveland again, they won 48-37, beat Pittsburgh by 11 points, and I think Pittsburgh was favored by double digits. So props to Cleveland. Awesome what they're doing over there in Cleveland, and I'm really rooting for them throughout the playoffs. I want them to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs tomorrow, on Sunday, excuse me. And I really hope that they advance to the AFC Championship game. And who knows, maybe they have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. But let's not get ahead of ourselves now. Now the two games that I want to talk about next are the Bucks and the football team game, and then the Bears Saints game. I wasn't really, really interested in those games. I watched a little bit of them. The football team, you saw what Taylor Heineke did against the Bucks defense. This guy came out of nowhere. He was the third string quarterback, pretty much fourth string quarterback, I guess you could really say. The Redskins, or sorry, the football team, they've had their problems at QB with Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith can't really stay healthy. Kyle Allen got hurt earlier in the year versus the Giants. Taylor Heineke, he came up, he showed up, he played well. I was impressed with him. He's really good outside the pocket. He has a good arm, and he's good with his legs. You saw that touchdown run that he had where he extended his body and placed the ball right in the corner of the end zone to score. That was an impressive play. And Chase Young, I want to talk about Chase Young a little bit on defense. You saw what he said about Tom Brady, obviously. I want Tom. I want to get to Tom. Chase was confident in Washington. He thought they were going to win the game, and rightfully so. Washington, they have a stingy defense. They have one of the better defenses in the league. They're still a really young team. They have a good core group. They just need a few playmakers on offense, and that team is going to be a very good team in the years coming. But Chase, he couldn't get to Tom Brady, unfortunately. Um, I would have loved to see it. I was rooting for Washington this game, but the Bucks had a great pass coverage, or not pass coverage, sorry, pass protection. They had great pass protection in this game. Chase, I'm not even sure if he got to Tom Brady. I don't even think he had any pressures really. I might be wrong on that. I'm gonna have to double check that. But again, Washington, they couldn't do much against the Bucks because the Bucks are such a high-powered and well-equipped offense with all those weapons. Antonio Brown got in the end zone, and honestly, as much as I don't like AB, it was nice to see him get in the end zone. Um, I'm happy for the Bucks. I'm happy for AB. I'm happy for Tom Brady. Honestly, and I hope that they beat the Saints next week. And speaking of which, let's get into the Saints game against the Bears, where the Saints won 21-9 against the Bears. Um, this wasn't a surprise. I had the Saints winning by like 17 points or something. I was close. They won by 12. Jimmy Graham had that touchdown at the very end of the game. You guys saw that. That was kind of reminiscent of his days in New Orleans in the Superdome, where he was dunking the football through the uprights in the field goal. That was cool to see. And he ran out of the stadium because he knew that the Bears lost. But good for Jimmy G. This could be his last year. Who knows? But yeah, the Saints blew out the Bears. No surprise. Mitch Trubisky has no help on offense. He has Allen Robinson, and that's about it. Darnell Mooney was out for this game. Anthony Miller got ejected when he got into it with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Um, the Saints were obviously going to win this game again. Like I said, um, Mitch Trubisky is probably done in Chicago, which is unfortunate. I kind of like Mitch Trubisky. It's not really his fault that he was placed in an unfair situation with a mediocre head coach and Matt Nagy. He's not a very good play caller. They need to get some offensive weapons for him if he's going to stay in Chicago, but I doubt that he will. I think they're going to move on from him. And Drew Brees, he gets another playoff win. He's solidifying his chances even more of making another NFC championship run. And who knows, maybe this time Drew Brees will get to the Super Bowl, but I doubt it. Drew Brees is too old. In my opinion, just like Big Ben and just like Phil Rivers, he's a liability. He's too old. And Tom Brady is really the only quarterback in this league above 35 that really can get it done. Tom Brady is still an elite quarterback, in my opinion. And I think that he's going to win against the Saints next week when they play each other. So that's going to wrap up Wild Card Weekend, guys. It was a very exciting weekend of football. Like I said, a historic weekend of football. I'm going to come out with a video later this week, probably tomorrow or on Saturday, getting ready for the divisional round. We have the Bucks and the Saints playing, and we have the Green Bay Packers and the Rams playing, obviously. And over on the AFC side, we have the Browns and the Chiefs playing. That'll be a rematch of that infamous game between Texas Tech and Oklahoma when Baker and Patrick Mahomes faced off. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a high-scoring game like that. And then on the other end, we have the Bills facing the Ravens, which will be another very good game to watch. So I'm going to come out with that for you guys later this week. I also want to talk about the Doug Peterson news coming out of Philadelphia. I'll have a video up for you guys this weekend about that. And I also want to talk about the James Harden trade to the Nets, which I'll get into another video later this week. So a lot of videos coming out this weekend for you guys. Again, I apologize for the delayed video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Excuse my voice. It sounds a little raspy because I do have a sore throat. But anyways, guys, I digress. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Wild Card Weekend. Give me your predictions for next week. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day.